He started proposing to me 2 weeks after we met. So, I mean, it was always, I was like, chill out, mate. And we used to get drunk and tell everybody we'd get married. It got really embarrassing. And then we'd have to kind of walk it back. And she just touched the back of my hair and she went, "Oh, you're pregnant." And I was like, what? She said, "The whole of the back of your hair has just curled. Your hair is completely different. You're pregnant." I am pregnant.
Did you have to tell people on set that you were pregnant?
No, I was like, shut up. When you go and you find out the sex. And he said, "It's a boy." And I said, "No, it's not." He was like, it is, it's a boy. And then the next one, we had the scan. He's like, "Oh, it was the umbilical cord. It was on the wrong place. It's a girl." I knew that was a girl. That was a girl. I had a head stuck between my legs for a month. So I remember this kind of just being like, okay, this baby has come out. It's my birthday. And I had this enormous scene and I hadn't slept at all. And I remember turning around to the director and my neck cricked as I turned, and I just sitting there sobbing and people going, "God, you must be so happy." And you're like, have you tried ripping open your vagina recently? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that happy.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Good.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
I'm
so ready.
That's good.
Isn't that exciting?
It is. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. Today's guest is an amazing actress. She started her career, she kicked things off with films like Bend It Like Beckham, Pirates of the Caribbean, Atonement, one of my all-time favourites. And her career it's gone on quite the journey since then. She's just written and illustrated a children's book called I Love You Just the Same. She is a mum to 2 daughters. Today's guest, I'm so excited that you are here in front of me. It's Keira Knightley.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
We have chased you for quite a while, Keira, to get you on the podcast.
Have you? I'm thrilled. I love being chased. I actually don't love being chased.
Let's
not go there. But thank you. That's very sweet.
I'm very excited that you're here. There's cake upstairs. There's never cake here in the studio.
Is it just for me?
It is. You're going to sit there and eat it all before you leave.
I will. I won't be allowed out until I've eaten all the cake. It's fine. I can do that.
How are you?
I'm really good.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm really good, yeah.
Yeah? Are you excited about being on a podcast?
I'm very excited about being on a podcast.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm excited to be here with you.
But it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because usually when you're sitting down and doing an interview, I know we're talking about the book today and stuff like that, but you are there to talk about a film that you worked on and you have a set amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's very driven. You want to get those things in.
Yeah.
And this is why I started the podcast in the first place, actually, because I think so often when you see people on sofas of like This Morning or Lorraine or, talking about motherhood, you know that you're not there to talk about that stuff, actually. You're there to promote your film.
Yeah.
And you want to quickly go, yes, it's amazing, move on. You know what I mean? You don't want people to pry.
You've got your nice little bit, your sliver of things that you're going to say, and then you're moving on to actually trying to sell whatever you're trying to sell. Yeah, it's true.
So this is very different.
It is very different.
How does it feel?
I mean, it feels good. I'm slightly apprehensive, because, this is where I'm apprehensive. We were talking about this before. You go, there's such a lot to say.
Yeah.
And there's so many, there's such a wealth of experience. But obviously for me, I'm very aware of being very careful not to, go into my kids. I've got to be careful of not giving away all of their secrets.
Yeah.
And mum chats, normally you do give away all of the secrets, don't you? Because you give away everything it'll be an interesting kind of exercise of speaking and not speaking at the same time.
Speaking is
I'm going, oh no, don't say that. Okay, say that.
I was talking to someone yesterday, because you are so private and you don't go on things like social media.
No.
This is going to sound really weird, but I feel like you've got free thought. Do you know what I mean? You're not stuck in an algorithm. You're not thinking, oh, this is how we say this. This is how we talk about these things nowadays. Or, things like that. You're actually able to just sit and deliver your own experience without worrying about these other things that are going on.
Yeah, but maybe that's stupidity. Is that now stupidity? No, I think it might be because the world is now in those algorithms. And actually, I just have no knowledge of any of it at all.
I think we all flock and we all worry about what we're saying.
Oh, okay.
Whereas
fine.
you can just talk freely.
Okay, fine. I'll talk freely then. Oh, how exciting. What trouble I could get into. Gosh.
Let's go back to the very beginning and talk about your childhood.
Yeah.
Because I know it was a very creative house that you grew up in.
Yeah, it was. So my dad was is an actor, was an actor. My mum was a writer. And we lived in a very lovely house that they still live in, which is probably one of my favourite buildings ever, which says I have had a happy childhood, right? It was all wooden floors and incredibly colourful and books everywhere. And my mum's garden is still one of the most magic spaces ever. She's done it all herself. It's very small. They were terraced Edwardian houses. But it's got rocks in the garden and it's got mirrors on the walls. And it's like this magic kind of fairyland that she sort of created in the back. So it was very creative. It was very, it was a lot of talking about stories. It was a lot of, they were, both predominantly worked in theatre, and were obsessed by theatre and obsessed by storytelling. So I very much grew up with them discussing plays and books and all of that.
And how did that impact you? Because obviously, if you've got two parents who are freelancers, and coming and going and doing different things, what did family life look like in that way?
Well, my dad was on tour a lot. So he was away a lot and my mum worked from home. And so her office was a very brightly coloured room at the front of the house. And I knew the door was always open. But she was always away in a storyland in her head. And I used to get really angry that she was away in her storyland and she wasn't there with me. And I was always like, where are you? Because you're there, but you're not there. You're somewhere else. And I think probably my kids recognize that a bit from me. That kind of like, I don't know, I'm here. I'm present, but I'm not. I'm somewhere deep inside my own head. So my mum definitely had that. But on a day-to-day, she literally, she would take us to school. She would pick us up, bring us home again. We had friends that lived around the corner, so we'd be wandering around to them all the time. And it was a good community. Yeah.
Did it feel like a very creative house to be in?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it felt magic. It felt, they really believed, they were very much part of this kind of 70s left-wing theatre scene. And they believed they could change the world. And so it was a very powerful thing to be a part of, that like art and theatre and that kind of creativity was important and political. I think watching them was extraordinary. Now, the other side of that, we had I'd say a middle class. I went to comprehensive schools. It was a middle class upbringing. But, there were years where it was tough financially. So I definitely grew up with a kind of the financial instability that you get from freelancers who work in an artistic profession. But I think also for my own career, it was sort of really helpful because I didn't think that the streets were paved with gold going into, being an actor or being anything else. I always thought, you probably have to do other jobs. Sometimes my dad was a taxi driver. Sometimes he worked, he worked for a company called Book Data for a while. And my mum would work. She was terrible, but she worked in a delicatessen. She didn't do that well at all. But she, and she'd work in a bookshop. And so I had a view of it as being, that, you were a writer or you were an actor, but also you might have to be a waitress and you might have to. I had quite I'm fortunate to have had a very realistic view of what it was.
Does the whole Nepo baby thing then annoy you? Because I think it's a really difficult subject when you've got parents who they're jobbing creatives. Everyone is a jobbing creative, and actually you might be around certain people, but you still have to deliver. You still have to have a talent. For even to go anywhere.
I don't know about annoyed. I think I am a Nepo baby. My mum, my first proper agent was because she was my mum's best mate and she's still my agent today. So I think it is true that there are connections that are made and it's true that within creative families, a lot of the actors I know, it is generational. And I think partly that is because it's a lifestyle, it's a way of life that is quite other from a 9-to-5 job.
So do you think it's more a case then that we have to change our view of how we perceive that, even the word, that actually it should be something that's not used as a way to kind of go dismiss someone, but actually what's wrong with that?
I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a similar thing to, quite often builders, I was doing a lot of house work on my house recently, and it's a family of builders, right? Building companies, it goes through generations. Doctors tends to go through generations. You get a lot of lawyers or, I think you grow up in a particular environment, and if you like the environment you grow up in, you will gravitate towards that
It's
environment.
so true, though. You
right?
don't see a doctor whose dad's a doctor and go, nepo, baby.
Yeah, no, you don't. Or a builder, work if your dad's company. But look, the entertainment industry is very loud. The noise around the entertainment industry, and I think you know that going into it. And so if my children, neither of them are showing any interest whatsoever, but if that's what they choose to do, then that's what they'll have to deal with, and I'm sure they'll have an answer to it.
Yeah.
It will ultimately, with every job, no matter what it is, you might have help through the door, which is not nothing. But unless you bring the goods, you're going to be chucked out very quickly.
Yeah.
So, that's just the way.
You knew that you wanted to be an actor from 3?
From the age of 3, apparently. Yes, I asked for an agent when I was 3, which I think has to do with the landline. We don't have landlines anymore.
No.
But I remember always picking up the phone. Loved picking up the phone. And it would be my mum or dad's agent. And I was always like, and they'd say, hi, it's your mum's agent. Can I speak to your mum, please, or something? And I'd be like, why can't I have an agent?
I want someone to phone me.
Why aren't they phoning me? I don't know. But also, it really was, they talked about theatre all the time.
Yeah.
They talked about films all the time. They still are obsessed with storytelling, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of it.
I love that. What was life like outside of the house?
I loved my primary school. Absolutely loved it. Had my friends living around the corner. Got an older brother. We didn't get on until I was about 12, and then we really got on. He's about 5 years older than me.
Okay.
I remember playing in the street. I remember walking on my own round to my friends' houses who were around the corner. I remember us climbing over fences into other people's gardens. It was a proper suburban.
Yeah.
It was very happy. It was very happy.
Yeah.
I remember holidays in North Devon and hiding under surfboards and eating bacon butties, and loving hiding under the surfboards in the rain, eating the bacon butties, and then waiting for it to stop raining and going surfing. And that was still, I think, the best holiday in the world.
Yeah.
So it was, I'd say, normal. My normal. It was my normal. It was very happy.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy secondary school?
I found secondary school hard. I think hormonally, probably hormonally, I should imagine. But I think just it was bigger, much bigger. And I couldn't find my feet in it at all. Socially, I found it really, really, really hard. That move from a small school into a big school, I found really difficult. And I don't think I ever properly recovered from that move and finding it too big. I found that really tricky. But it was a really good school, and it wasn't, I didn't have any particular problems in it or anything like that. It was just, I think it was literally just going from a small primary school, and not particularly small, like a completely normal primary school, but they are all smaller, aren't they, into one of those big sort of comprehensive secondary schools. I found it really tricky.
When you were younger, did you ever look ahead to the future? I know that you saw, you wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
What about a mum?
I never thought that I wouldn't be a mum.
Yep.
So I didn't. I always thought I would be a mum.
Yeah.
So but I didn't class myself as maternal.
Okay.
Or I wasn't particularly interested in if somebody had a baby, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm like, okay,
baby.
One of those. But I always thought I'd have kids.
It's funny, isn't it? That thing of kind of knowing it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Whereas for some people, it would be kind of like I know I want to be a mum, and at some point that is, I'll play with my dolls and be maternal and play. And,
I definitely did play with dolls.
Yeah.
So I guess there was that. But I just remember being sort of in early 20s or whatever. I wouldn't look at them and be like, oh, I want one of those. I'd be like, oh.
Did that shift at all when you met James?
No, again, we were always like, well, that's just going to happen at some point.
Really?
Yeah, in that way of I don't remember ever having a conversation about it. I don't remember ever, but just that was an obvious thing, and there would be 2. And we were both kind of the same about it. It's like, obviously we're having 2 kids at some point, yeah.
That's so funny.
It's funny though, isn't it? Yeah. What about you? Did you have a...
In my head, it was 3, but because I'm one of 3.
well, there you go, and I'm one of 2, so 2 makes
Yeah.
sense, and he's one of 2, so 2 makes sense.
Yeah. Whereas I think, I don't know whether, because me and my husband have been together since we were 18.
Wow.
So I think there was always that sort of chasing of, can we be adults? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and also I think because it was at a time where, I don't know, maybe, you're chasing that ring, that commitment, that whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of, all your energy is kind of
going towards that.
Yeah.
You see, we met and he started proposing to me 2 weeks after we met. So, I mean, it was always, I was like, chill out, mate. You're all right. And we used to get drunk and tell everybody we'd get married. It got really embarrassing. And then we'd have to kind of walk it back and be like, no, I think we would, oh God. So it was just always sort of happening. I mean, it was always just happening. As soon as we met, it was,
Did it feel different to any relationship before then?
I mean, yeah, they all feel different, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just always happening, and we were always having children, and we were going to get married.
Did you worry at all about career?
No, stupidly. Really stupidly.
But I guess for you, you've seen your mum and dad, and although your mum was able to work from home, you've seen them do the career, have the children. So maybe you hadn't questioned how you managed to...
No, I hadn't questioned it. And she's proper second wave feminist. You just get on with it. You just do it. That's what you do. You have the babies and you take them, and that's what you do. Thanks, Mum. Was it that simple? I mean, I think she's a writer. So she was an actress, and by the time I came around, she wasn't acting anymore, and she was just writing, and she was successful as a writer. Writing is a very good thing for being a parent.
Absolutely.
Because you are working from home. You do have, that structure of that school day is very helpful to make you sit there and work. And then the kids go, and she said, put you to bed, and we had bedtimes and, put us to bed. And she said, and I'd write afterwards. And so she had chunks. And I can now see how that works, quite nicely.
Book 13. So it absolutely does work.
Yeah, there you go.
Although the chaos of the last couple of years has made me go,
I mean, doesn't
trying
work.
to chase the time back.
And COVID doesn't work. I mean, that doesn't work for anybody, but that doesn't work. So obviously some holidays definitely don't work. That's a nightmare. But, but there are those moments where you're like, okay, that actually makes sense. You can be a completely present mother and you can do the creative thing, and which is great. The acting of it makes it a little trickier.
So when you decided that the time was right to start trying, did you decide that?
No, not really. I mean, no, not really. We decided that we would stop being so careful.
Okay.
And I was pregnant. I mean, literally then. Twice. So it was both a shock and not a shock.
Yeah.
I definitely thought, I'd already had friends who'd been having babies, and some of them had a, really tricky time getting pregnant. So I absolutely thought, I was like, I was always incredibly careful.
Yeah.
Being very career-minded. I was incredibly careful, and I was just like, I'll just be a little less careful. Boom!
Were you in the middle of filming anything?
I don't remember that. Was I in the middle? I was pregnant. No, God, isn't that funny? The second time I was, but the first time, no, I can't remember. I was definitely promoting, because I remember Imitation Game was coming out. Oh, actually, it was quite good timing. So Imitation Game was coming out, and there was a big Oscar campaign. And when there's an Oscar campaign, you can't be filming at the same time. So I wasn't filming. But so it was in that bit where I was suddenly pregnant doing an Oscar campaign. Yeah.
How was that?
The first pregnancy was... Do you know what? I had the great bit at the beginning. You're really sick. So I was obviously trying to hide that. But I had that great moment where suddenly your boobs go. You're really you're very thin, but with these amazing boobs. And I never had boobs in my life. So I was like, God, looking amazing. And then...
this is my Oscar look.
This is my Oscar. Yeah, this is incredible. And then very quickly, it all started, everything else started happening as well. The first pregnancy, I felt incredible.
Right.
So I was sick for the first trimester, and then really got that famous sort of energy, and like whatever the hormonal thing was, I just felt great. I was like the happiest I've ever been. Yeah. Like extraordinary kind of. I'm normally quite a kind of introverted. I find like parties and big gatherings, I find all that quite tricky. I didn't have any of those problems. I was like out and. I was again, I'd take a bit of that hormonal ride again from that first pregnancy. That was great.
Really?
Yes. And then there's always an and then.
Did that sustain throughout the whole pregnancy after
It
that?
sustained from the second trimester all the way through to giving birth.
And
100%.
how did you feel about birth? Because I know you did hypnotherapy for anxiety years before.
Yeah.
Had you looked into hypnobirthing or anything like that?
Nope.
No.
No.
Because when I saw you do hypnotherapy, I was like,
Yeah.
maybe you went down that
helped.
route. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I just went because you did. You said you did, right? Very strange. I didn't connect to any of that. I didn't connect to any. I was just very much like, she's got to come out. Don't care how she comes out.
Yeah.
I didn't connect to a kind of it has to be natural. I didn't connect to. I wasn't scared of it. I was just like, one way or another, I have to survive. She has to survive. She has to come out.
Yeah.
I don't care how. So I didn't have like a birth plan, or I didn't have. I vaguely said, yeah, sure. If there's some water, that sounds like that might be nice. Yeah. So I was in a suite with a water thing. Didn't get into it. But I was very non-connected to an idea of control.
Yeah.
Or an idea that, I didn't feel like I wanted to dictate anything. I just felt like I have no idea. My body's going to do something and we both have to survive, and that's it.
Which means that you weren't married to it looking a certain way either.
I was not. And actually, now I'm pleased that was the case, because a lot of friends had that and then they felt like they'd failed.
Yeah.
And maybe actually that's why I hadn't, because I'd already had a couple of mates who'd been through it and had that, it's got to be natural, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And then it had all gone wrong. And the worst thing was that they felt like they'd failed. Mm-hmm. So I had seen that with a couple of mates. So I suppose maybe that was why I didn't. I was just like, it's just got to come out. One way or another, she has to come out. And I don't care how we get there.
Did you find out that you were having a girl?
I knew I was having a girl.
Really?
Yeah, both times.
Really?
Like, it is girl. There is no. And actually, with my first pregnancy, we did the when you go and you find out the sex, and he said it's a boy, and I said no, it's not. He was like, it is. It's a boy. And so we had then until the next scan. My husband going, you've got to stop. You've got to get your head around the fact this is a boy. I'm like, it's not a boy. It's not a boy. It's like the doctor has said it's a boy. It's not a boy. And my mum's a bit witchy too. And my mum was like, it's not a boy. It's a girl. It's not a boy. And then the next one we had the scan. He's like, oh, it was the umbilical cord. It was on the wrong place. It's a girl. I knew that was a girl. I knew that was a girl. That was a girl.
I mean, imagine if you spent that time getting your head around the fact.
I did try. I mean, I wasn't completely insane. And I was completely insane. I was like, okay, I don't care either way. So let's have a couple of boy names. So we had a couple of boy names. And I was like, maybe I could get into, again, didn't care. Like, whatever. I kept going, it's a fucking girl. It's a girl. They were both girls. Just, I don't know. No, I had no... Yeah, and then James was really worried because he was like, oh my God, it's a boy, and now what and you can't get your head around it. It's just because you don't want a boy. And I'm like, no, I'm fine with a boy, but it's a girl.
It's not that I don't want it to be a boy.
It just isn't. It just doesn't feel. This feels girl. Anyway, it was a girl.
It was a girl.
It was a girl, yeah.
How did you feel heading towards the birth? Did you feel nervous about it?
I was convinced she would be early. No, for no reason.
Yeah.
Apart from that, my mum said that we were both a month early. But my mum's quite scatty, so possibly she just got that wrong. So I was convinced that she'd be early. She wasn't. She was 3 days early, I think. And then because she was 3 days early, she felt late, but she wasn't a month early. She felt late.
Yeah.
So I was... No, both times. I don't know why I was not scared of it. I just felt like... it was fine.
Yeah.
And maybe you do know, because again, I think I've had mates who they felt like it wasn't fine and they were right, and I felt like it was fine. She was engaged for like a month before she came out, though. I think that's also why I was like convinced that she was coming out. Right. I had her head stuck between my legs for a month. So I remember this kind of just being like, okay, this baby has come out. The second pregnancy was very different, and not very different, but I had sciatica she'd sat on one side in a ball, and I had massages trying to like get her to move over. because all of the pressure then on the back as she grew. She absolutely wouldn't. You'd feel her kind of go, moving out from her little and then going almost like scurrying back to that one side and being curled up again. So my back was just in pieces. So I was like a very angry hippopotamus.
Well, and that one as well. You've got the first one to look after at the same time.
You've got the first one to look after at the same time, which is a whole other scenario. So the first one, super happy, super great.
Especially if you're not filming, you've got a bit of promo, you've got the Oscar big things.
Big things, yeah.
But essentially you're not on a grueling filming schedule.
I wasn't.
You have a bit of time, you can have all the naps,
you
can have all the prep, all the stuff.
Yeah, but also you just don't have other kids to look after.
Yeah.
So you're like, what are you doing? I meing, you're getting a pregnancy massage, you're seeing your mates, you're going out for lunch, you're doing a bit of work here and there. But no, it was totally great. The second one is the second one with a 3-year-old was a very, very different scenario because it was I was filming the second time, filming up until I was about 3 months, but it was literally like I went from not pregnant to 5 months pregnant within 5 seconds. So I had none of that, oh, don't I look glowing and lovely and this is all lovely and look at my boobs. It was like my arse just expanded. It was like I was carrying the baby in my bottom. I was like, I don't understand. Like my whole body just went doof. Like it was astonishing. So
what were you filming?
What was I filming? I was filming Feminist. What was it called? Misbehaviour.
Okay.
I was filming Misbehaviour, which was about the storming of the Miss World competition.
Okay.
By second wave 70s feminists. So I was filming that and being violently sick, running off, obviously not telling anyone. Actually, what was amazing was I was about 6 weeks pregnant and I obviously not telling anyone, totally new, felt awful. And my hairdresser, she get your hair and makeup done every morning, going into the hair and makeup, and she just touched the back of my hair and she went, oh, you're pregnant. And I was like, what? She said, the whole of the back of your hair has just curled. She said, yesterday it wasn't curly, and today it's curly. And it's proper hard curls. Your hair is completely different. You're pregnant. I was like, I am pregnant. And it's true. It's like I've now got a funny patch at the back of my hair, which is totally like zigzag curly from this second pregnancy.
Wow.
Yeah. So isn't the hormones it's weird. It's weird.
Did you have to tell people on set that you were pregnant?
No, I was like, shut up.
Really?
Yeah, shut up. Very early, shut up. She was like, she didn't tell
wardrobe for the
anyone.
bottom?
I did start expanding, obviously, but fortunately on film sets, everybody's just eating junk food the whole time. So everybody's expanding. So I think they were just like, wow, you need to really start. And I was eating ginger biscuits because that was the only thing that made me not feel sick.
Yeah.
So they were obviously watching me eat all of these biscuits, being like, of course you're going to get bigger if you're eating the ginger biscuits all the time. So they didn't say anything. Maybe they did know, but they didn't say anything.
Oh, bless you.
It was a bit much. Yes. Anyway, so that was, and then I think because my first kid did not sleep, so still by the time she was 3, she was not sleeping through the night. So
that's hard.
That is hard. Yes. That is. Did you have one like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had the second one did sleep and it was amazing. And then I decided to put them in a room together, which meant that then
neither of them slept.
It wasn't actually when they first went in the room together, Mum would have night terrors and they wouldn't wake the other one up at all.
No, amazing.
But it was the getting to sleep that was the big thing.
See, mine would always, she'd get to sleep, but from midnight, she'd be awake.
Wow.
Just awake. So how old was yours when they finally slept through? Do they sleep through now?
Yeah, now we have to wake them up. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's a very, very different thing.
Yeah, those hormones. Yeah, so yes, so she didn't sleep until she was 5. But so I think because I was then pregnant when she was 3, I would literally, she was at nursery, and I'd send her to nursery, and I'd crawl up in a ball, and I would sleep the whole day she was at nursery. And I remember even making those days longer because I would literally just be, and I think it was very much my body it was like my body went into shutdown.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced tiredness. I mean, there's the obvious tired because the kid doesn't sleep anyway and you haven't slept a full night in 3 years. Mm-hmm. But it was like something chemical in my body just shutting the whole thing down and making me sleep during the day. So thank God for nursery.
Were you worried when the second one came along then, the fact that you already had one that didn't sleep?
Yes. I thought I might die. Thought I might die. Yes. And my second is, and from the get-go, love sleep. She slept through. She was one of those babies that if you have a non-sleeper, you hear about these babies and it makes you want to kill the parents. She slept through from 4 months. She loves it. She still loves it. You go, it's bedtime. She's like, oh, good. She just loves it. She's like this little, I think also she's a thumb sucker.
Right. So she's got her own comfort attached to her.
And literally that thumb went in. I swear she was born with her thumb and she wasn't. But, it was like she found it so quick. And I think that just made...
We went through a phase. I feel like we had years where we just I don't care where anyone sleeps.
No, just as long as there is some sleep.
I don't care if you have to get into our bed or we have to be in your bed.
Yeah.
Just as long as everyone actually sleeps.
No, I think I slept in Edie's bed for, years. It's a miracle we had the second child. It's very, very intense, that non-sleeping. You go mad. I was doing a film called Official Secrets in Leeds, and for some reason at 3, she really just went through a period of, it was like a complete regression to, every hour on the hour. It was, and I just remember it was my birthday and I had this enormous scene and I hadn't slept at all. And I remember turning around to the director and my neck cricked as I turned, and I just sitting there sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And, and you're just like... Oh, this is sleep deprivation to she was always fine. She was so happy. She was like...
She's got a daytime nap.
Not a problem. Yeah, she's good. She's got that lovely, but I think that not sleeping, trying to work thing is very hard.
Well, because you just don't know how you're going to function.
No, I don't think you do function.
Especially on something like a set where you've got, everyone's got different pressures, but when you're on a set and other people are relying on you to just... And you're used to going there and being prepped and just... Yeah. It was a very... Yeah, it was a 5-year period of very... I don't think I realised how... I'm saying mad. Mad is probably... But... Oh no, the only word I can find is mad. I think I was mad for about 5 years. I think sleep deprivation makes you go mad. And it's only when it finishes and you can suddenly look and you're like, oh my God, my emotions were up here, and my bandwidth for dealing with things was like this big, So it was sort of, I could kind of go in a straight line. I could learn the words, I could do the thing, but it was like gripping on with fingernails, So it's night and day if you have a sleeper. And it's having something that's completely out of your control as well. You're able to, before becoming a parent, control things to a certain extent. You control, how you sleep. You can control so much. And then all of a sudden...
Or if you don't sleep, it's the really stupid one. I love it when I hear people say this. It's like, oh my God, I've been a partier since whatever. I know what no sleep is like. And you're like, bless you. Oh, no, you don't. I think just that never being able to catch up.
Yeah.
And I think literally when she started going to nursery, when she was 3, that was when I could finally actually sleep. Because up until then, I wasn't napping. I was working all day.
Yeah.
Or, not all the time. But, I was definitely not napping during the day. So it was a really interesting thing. It feels like your body does what it needs to protect you, doesn't it? Maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm basing that on nothing other than my own experience. So maybe it doesn't, but that's what it felt like to me.
I used to, when the kids all, were... when it was daytimes and I knew I shouldn't be napping, I used to go and nap in their bed because it used to make me feel less guilty.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
like... I got back into my bed, it made me feel a bit...
No, like I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never slept in my bed. That's interesting. Yeah. It was always on the sofa. So I'd be sat there kind of going, oh no, I'm sure I'm reading a script or doing something and just like, have curled up and suddenly would wake up and it would be the end of the day.
I'd hear Tom in his music room sometimes playing something on the piano and all of a sudden it would stop. And I'd go in to his office and he'd literally be starfished on the floor, just completely wiped out. Like, wow.
It's like there is nothing that sleep deprivation, and it's also and you see it, look, I'm completely through it. They both sleep, they're 10 and 6. It's all kind of, I see all two of my best friends, they both happen to have 2-year-olds right now. And neither of them sleep through the night. And it's the look, the panic, the panic. Yeah. And people say, oh, it's just being a mum. And you're like, And I just remember reading articles at the time of being like, how important sleep is. You must get your 8 hours, and being like, fuck you. I would like to. I am trying. Talk to her.
But that's another pressure, isn't it?
Yes.
All those things we're told that we should be doing.
should
It's
be
like,
doing.
How am I meant to fill this into my day? How am I meant
No.
to sleep when I've got a child who doesn't
sleep and doesn't seem to find it a problem that she doesn't sleep, but doesn't sleep. You know, I mean, I don't have no idea. It's such a particular form of crazy torture. And the panic in parents' eyes, and you just now, having come through the other side of it, you want to. It will end.
Yeah.
But when I say when my kid was 5, it doesn't make anyone feel any better. It's like, especially my friends with 2-year-olds. Hey, don't worry, you've got another 3 years to go. It's gonna be all right. I have a lot of grey hair, but it's gonna be all right. And people mean to be helpful, but they go, have you tried a sleep routine? And you literally I mean, I've never felt rage like the have you tried a sleep routine? Have you just tried putting her to bed later? You think I haven't tried all of the things, you know. You just have, I think they come out the way they come out.
Yeah.
You know, you get a sleeper, you don't get a sleeper. Yeah. I feel actually very fortunate that we got the non-sleeper first. Because
That's true.
There was at no point going into the second one that we thought we were good parents. We hadn't made that mistake of going, God, we're really good at this. You know, we were just like, and then just happened to get the I like sleeping one.
Amazing.
And can I just say, for all of the people out there, parenting is easier if you have the sleeping child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it 100%, if you've had a night's sleep, you can deal with anything during the day. Mm-hmm. If you have not, everything is hard. Yeah. And that is not your fault. Yeah. I feel very important, like it's very important to say that. Because, you know, I remember at the time looking at mates with babies who slept and they were so glorious. They were dressed well. They looked great. They were having a lovely mother and baby time. You know, it was all lovely. And you're sitting there going, look, I'm so lucky. My daughter is sensational. She's all of the wonderful things. But I'm in pieces. And how are these women not in pieces, you know? And you go, you're not in pieces because you haven't slept in.
How does it feel like looking back at that version of you and kind of going, oh, fuck? Especially, did you feel like you could talk to people and go, this is hard?
I'm really lucky. I had a couple of really good friends. And also my mum had 2 non-sleepers. So
you were one of them?
Yeah. My brother for 6 years and me for 2.
Okay. So you didn't deserve 5 years?
I didn't deserve 5 years. I think actually maybe I'm lying about 2. Maybe it was a bit long. Actually, no, do you know what? I'm lying because I always used to get up in the middle of the night, and I distinctly remember I would get up in the middle of the night. Their room was on the top floor. We were in the middle. I'd get up. My dad, literally not even awake, would get up and he'd go down and he'd finish the night in my bed and I would be up there in my mum's bed, and that was until I was 6. So actually me saying, so okay, I didn't sleep. I'm just like, I didn't.
Retract.
So they had 2 kids that didn't sleep until they were 6. And when I told my dad that I was pregnant, he went, comeuppance. And he might have had a point. I was like, all right. But yeah.
Was there a point within that 5 years where you kind of felt worried that it would never end?
Yes.
Especially if you're feeling that anger and that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do. You could, because it feels, that kind of sleep deprivation feels endless. Yeah. And therefore that kind of, within your own brain, sort of feeling like somebody's putting their nails down a blackboard. Mm-hmm. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, because you don't know when it's going to end. Yeah. And you know, and it becomes your life, right? It becomes, so you become... And you also think, am I always going to be this short-tempered? Are we always going to be this, you know? And you're like, and everything, I mean, I think from the birth, my body didn't heal very quick. You know, actually it was very straightforward, but I got induced and then I took all the drugs. did then tear, so had stitches. But the healing was really. But you're like, of course you're not going to heal. You haven't. There's no chance to take a breath. There's no chance to heal.
Yeah.
Right? You're just on it from the moment they come out. Like you are on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the best place to have stitches, to be fair.
It's not
it's
for
just
sitting
awful.
down and chilling out. I mean, it's
for
not
anything.
For anything.
You know,
it is not
if
ideal.
If you're sitting, if you're moving, it's just not great.
Anything, looking after a child the whole time. You know, I mean, it's not ideal.
I can remember walking at various times and just feeling like something had been caught.
Oh my God.
Yeah, not great.
Oh my God.
Not
and the
great.
pads and the thing and the oh God. I mean, it's so awful. It's so awful. And people going, God, you must be so happy. And you're like, have you tried ripping open your vagina recently? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that happy. But again, very lucky she did come out the way she was.
Well, let's talk birth. Let's talk birth.
birth.
Where were you when things kicked off?
I was. So because I'd felt like she was late, even though she was early, I'd been walking and eating.
Try and get her out.
Oh my God, I'd been walking that child out. So at that point, I lived in Islington, and I was going to Rochelle Canteen for lunch, which is in East London, just up the road from here. And I was like, we're walking. Fine, okay. So my husband, I walked all the way to Rochelle Canteen. We're having lunch with friends. That's like about a mile and something. And I had 2 puddings because they were great. And I was like, right, great. 3-course meal, 2 puddings, please. Great. And I had a hospital appointment after that.
Right.
And I was like, I want to walk to the hospital. And that was in the centre of town. And so that was another 2.5 miles.
Did you have your hospital bag with you the whole time?
No, because I wasn't meant to give birth because I was early. So it was still 3 days before my due date. But I had like the checkup. And so my husband was like, okay. So we started walking, and on Clerkenwell Road, I thought I'd pissed myself. and I was like, I'm not getting a cab. Because I said to him, I was like, either my waters have gone or I've pissed myself. And he was like, okay.
Did you feel anything pop, or did you just feel a trickle?
It was a trickle.
Okay.
And again, it's the funny, I didn't know what being in labour felt like. So I was like, I don't know, I've had a child wedged between my legs for a month.
Yeah.
I mean, it all feels pretty weird. I don't know. So I've been having, actually, now what I understand were actually really early contractions, but for like about 2 days.
Right.
But it all felt, honestly, she was wedged between my legs. So I was like, it all feels weird. I don't know what's going on. And I had this hospital appointment and nothing felt like it was dangerous. It just all felt weird. So we're walking now from where is it? From up there, I don't know, along the Clerkenwell Road. And I feel this trickle. And my husband's like, let's get in a cab and we're going to get to the hospital. I was like, no, because I'm too vain. And if I've pissed myself, I'm going to smell of wee, and I'm going to be in a cab. And the cab driver will then be like, you've pissed in my cab.
Were you not tempted to get him to sniff it just to see what it was?
God, I didn't think of that. Should have done that. Of course, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But I was also I felt like I had so much energy. So I was like, no, we just keep on walking. So I ended up walking. I'd walked the 1 mile to there, and I walked 2.5 more miles to the hospital. And I got in, I was quite flushed. And the doctor was like, you're right. I was like, oh, either I've pissed myself or my waters have gone. And she's like, I'm gonna have a look. You're in labour. Your waters have gone and you're in labour. Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, fine.
Great news.
Great news. Yeah, she's like, it's super early days. Why don't you go back home and get your bag? I was like, fine. Walked all the way back home. So by that point, I think I walked over 5 miles that day. And then my husband was finally like, we are getting a cab to the hospital when we were going back. And then we went back. And then actually, so I was it was contracting and everything, but I wasn't dilating. So they ended up, she was like, it was the backwaters that had gone. So there's a particular amount of time. She's like, we're going to induce you. Again, I was like, do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
She said, if you're being induced, my recommendation is take all the drugs. I was like, absolutely fine. Totally fine with taking all the drugs. I took all the drugs. I was induced. I mean, I think she was out within 45 minutes.
Really?
Maybe an hour. Yeah. But I had split. She was back to back. So I think that it's a really weird one that when you've taken the drug, I mean, thank you for the drugs.
Yeah.
I'm all great. But I think the recovery, because you haven't felt it, is incredibly confusing. So the battered nature of my body afterwards, I think that was, it didn't make sense. I remember the kind of hormonal crash. So I'd been on this kind of amazing hormonal high and there was a crash down. And I think then it was postnatal depression for, I did like lots of therapy about a year later, a couple of years later to sort of deal with all of that. But I think it was confusing not having whatever that physical side of it was confusing. Now, I would not say don't take the drugs. I'm still like, you know what? I'm all for you do you. You do what feels right for you. It's all. But that side of it, for whatever reason for me, I found it very difficult to kind of connect with what had happened physically to me, probably because of that.
Well, it's such a huge thing that's not really discussed, and you wrote an amazing essay actually in Feminists Don't Wear Pink about that time and about how raw it is, and and actually there's no way that you can prepare anyone for that. I think it is something about being in it and feeling it.
No, and you just don't get it until you've experienced it. And it doesn't matter, even these two really close friends of mine who've got 2-year-olds now, they'd watched me and their other friends go through it twice, and still on the other side, they're like, what?
Why didn't you tell me this?
Why didn't you tell me anything? I've been telling you for years, you just don't, you don't have the, you don't have the imagination to understand, I think, what it is and what physically it is and what mentally it is and, where you're going to be, where you feel just... I mean, I just remember I could hear the trees felt too loud. Yeah. Everything felt like I was in a whirlwind of, like a wind tunnel of, just experience and emotion and, it was huge, even though I hadn't felt what had actually happened. I hadn't been through the pain of what that was. I mean, I'd been through the beginning bits, but
you also are very aware of what's happened to your body.
Yeah. I mean, I was very present.
Yeah. So
knew what was going on, obviously, but yeah, that recovery and also the non-recovery, right? But I just need to get some sleep. Like, yeah, if I could sleep for 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure this would all heal really quickly. But there wasn't any sleep for 3 years, So, and that's from a completely normal birth where actually it was all fine. There were no major things. That was totally, actually, it went pretty well for a first birth. It wasn't, the kid was fine. I was fine. It was all fine. And still within everything was completely fine. It's still this huge life-altering thing has happened. And at that point, I felt like the public discourse around it was, great, can you get back in your jeans yet? Right, back to work. Nothing's happened. Carry on. You going out? Or all of this kind of, like it felt like there was no discussion.
Yeah.
And no interest. And it was just like, when are you getting back in your jeans? What? I'm on a different planet. I've just travelled from one planet to the other. I don't care about my fucking jeans, But it felt,
What about the fact that I think when you visit people with newborns, it's very different to experiencing you with a newborn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, I don't know whether it's because we're just so used to going over to people's houses when they've got babies and, I don't know, the babies are always sleeping. It's always very...
It looks great.
Yeah. The mum's sitting down.
Yeah.
She's making us a cup of tea.
Yeah.
She's bringing out the biscuits.
Yeah.
We don't see it in the same way as we do when we're experiencing it.
No, and even, being somebody that works on film and being therefore interested in how can you show this? You can't.
No.
Because it's actually inside your head and it's inside the most intimate part of your family.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
And then it's about what the feelings are during the day and getting through the day and maybe feeling like you're failing or maybe feeling, having all the feelings. And it's such a personal, private, enormous thing that it's normally held inside the head of the woman that's going through it, right?
Yeah.
And there aren't actually words to describe what the experience
But
is.
also because we think that motherhood should be amazing. You know,
Yeah.
like the whole thing of sitting on a sofa and going, it's amazing,
Yeah.
got to promote this.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because we just want to, we're just so used to having, it's amazing, it's wonderful, it's the most amazing thing that we could ever do for humanity,
Yeah.
whatever. Then when those feelings of failure pop up, when, you know, we feel ashamed about it, we feel
Yeah.
guilt. And that is what holds it in and actually
Yeah.
makes it so much stronger in our heads.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I think everybody you're just terrified that either you aren't good enough for your kid, or that somebody will think that you're not good enough, and will they take the kid away? Will they, you know, if I say anything negative, will it, you know, everything gets internalized.
Yeah.
And if you're really lucky, then you have a group of friends that you can be incredibly honest with. And if you're not, and I think a lot of people aren't, it can whir and whir and whir and whir, and it can get very tricky. And I think it is what you just said. It's like, because the image of it is meant to be, here I am, serene. This is the most fulfilled, and I just naturally know what I'm doing, and I'm fine with no sleep, and I can fit back in my jeans, and here's my head. You know, I mean, it so undervalues the experience. Like, the experience is so much more than that. It's so much more than easy. It's so much more than amazing. It's so much. I mean, it can incorporate that, right? You have amazing days where you're like, God, look at me. I was just amazing. You know, my baby's amazing, and it's all amazing, and they're great, and they happen, and that's great. But it's like, it's a universe that's happening between a mother and child. It's every emotion. It's all of the emotions. And I think it's also, you know, particularly with that first child, you have no concept of the life change that is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a few changes. It's everything. And I think that there is allowed and should be a period of mourning for your previous life.
Yeah.
And your previous self and your previous relationship. And I think that's allowed.
And the fact that you're allowed to be selfish and think about yourself.
Yeah, and you are
first in every
still
situation.
Exactly, and you are still allowed to want to be you, and you are still allowed to want to go out, and you are still allowed to want to be on your own, and I think people feel so guilty about that.
Yeah.
You know, and they feel so guilty about any negative feelings that they might be having, that it can get it worse.
Yeah.
Instead of actually going, you know, there is a life-changing thing, and it is amazing. And if you're really lucky, that kid is well and you are well. And that's still really hard. And you are still allowed to have moments where you're grieving your past life. That's okay. You know, sit there and you can grieve it, and then you can move forward, and then you can figure it out. You know, you're allowed to want to go out with your mates and get pissed. You are allowed to want that. You're allowed to want to be that version of yourself. But it might not be there for a while.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you allow yourself to grieve?
Yeah, I think when I understood it, I think I did. I was then like, oh, I don't need to feel bad about going, God, we were really, we as a couple were out there, and we had fun, and we were out all night, and, you know, we went to parties, and we did all the things, and, you know, and that doesn't exist and will never exist in that way. And I don't think I realised it would never exist in that way again. It looks different now, right? We've got a 10 and a 6-year-old. We definitely aren't hedonistic. And I'm really glad that we had the moment where we were hedonistic. Like, what fun. But we do go out and we do see friends.
Yeah.
And we do now. We've built a life. But we both had to acknowledge that we did miss that, you know, and there was a bit of us that wanted to still be that and be in contact with that. And that there was a sadness that you couldn't, you know. But also, you're on a journey which is a new journey, which has amazing things, and which has the most amazing things, which has the most important, which everything feels 10 times bigger than anything felt before, you know. But you're not going to be able to go out and get pissed as much.
And also, you look back at like your childhood, and you know the fact that it was a creative home and so much joy and everything like that. But actually, it makes you realise how much goes into creating a family like that.
Yeah.
When you've got things like kids who aren't sleeping, or, you know, different pressures from different places to be places, or for the kids to be at school, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually so much else that goes around that home life that can really interfere with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the community that you need to build around you that makes it all possible. You know, it's the people, whether you can afford, I mean, if you can afford the childcare, it's obviously super lucky. We can afford great childcare. We could send the kid to nurseries, you know, all of that. But it's the people. It's my mum is hugely involved. I mean, with me growing up, my grandmother was involved. We did have childminders, and there was a tight group of friends. And so it was the mums and dads, other mums and dads on the school gate, and we would stay over at their house a lot, and we would do that. And, you know, now it's building those communities around you that allow life in its full to happen. You know, but I think at the beginning, you have no idea how you're gonna.
This is
life
now?
This is life. This is life. And I don't sleep.
How did you feel going into having a second child?
I must have been mad.
But there must have also been a feeling of, you know, well, I'm not sleeping now anyway.
I think it was a bit of that. Yeah. And I think we'd always gone, we're having two. I mean, it's so weird. We'd always just gone, we're having two. And we were like, we're having two. So we're having two. So now we're having two. And again, it was like, let's just not be as careful. Boom. Straight away. Yeah. Again, lucky, you know, obviously very lucky. But literally, again, first time.
But also the idea of something versus the reality of seeing that pregnant.
Yes. You have 1 second of being like, oh, yeah, we should. And we always wanted to. Oh, oh hi. Hello. Yes. And then the second.
How did your eldest react to the news initially into your pregnancy?
She was so excited.
Really?
She was like, she was so excited. She said, it has to be a girl. And at that point, we hadn't found out. And we were like, it'd be interesting if it's a boy, because she's very adamant about this. And again, I'd gone, it is a girl. I mean, I didn't say that to her, obviously, because I didn't know. But in my head, I totally went. By that point, I was 34. So officially, what is it, geriatric mother? Yeah. So we got the test, the early one.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew very early that she was a girl.
Right.
Yes. So then it was a girl. And I have to say, Edie, my oldest, was so excited. And she was gorgeous. I mean, all the way through. And then, so she was 4 by the time Delilah was born. And for us, it was great age difference. Yeah. It was, she's an amazing, and I say this honestly, thank God, she is an amazing big sister. Yeah. She is, and she adores her and always has done from the moment that she came out. And she's just been, they're quite heartbreaking together.
Really?
I think they're very different. So they don't occupy the same spaces. And I think but I put that as a great credit to my oldest kid, because she's pretty glorious with her.
Really?
Yeah. And that's not to say that that's always easy. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that she doesn't have moments where, and particularly at the beginning, her kingdom was taken away. Yeah. Right?
You've changed her life for forever.
You've changed her life forever. And as much as she wanted that baby, you know, she did. She really, I mean, she'd been asking me for, you know, always loved babies, always wanted another baby. But that moment where that oldest kid, and look, again, super lucky, because that's the way it was. Obviously, you get some oldest kids who are like, I hate it. What is this? I don't, you know. But even on the side of it where you have a kid who's just glorious with their younger sibling, they still have moments where their kingdom has gone. Yeah. And they're being asked to share their people. Mm-hmm. And that baby takes up a lot of space. Yeah. And it cries. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and you watch these oldest ones. And I think for me, I was like, I view her as, she was so courageous in dealing with those emotions and in dealing with that space and in loving this small child, but also, you know, looking at this altered world and trying to figure out her way through this altered world.
Is it something that you were aware of?
No, I'm a younger sibling. I was just like,
hard to be aware of these things.
Yeah, I'm not aware at all of this. No, I wasn't. But there was a story in my house that my mum, with me, she had a home birth. She'd had a horrible time in hospital the first time, so with my brother, so she decided to have a home birth. And that was the first night he slept through, was when I was born at home on the kitchen floor. And she'd been playing table tennis with him. They'd got a table tennis thing. So she'd been playing table tennis until she put him to bed. And he miraculously slept through. And she was in labour on the kitchen floor all night and gave birth to me on the kitchen floor. And he came down in the morning and he had half an hour where he quite liked me. And then he said, "When's she going back?" And it's understandable, right?
Yeah.
It's so, you're like, this has been great.
Yeah.
Because now we've got this nice bit where we
That's
get
nice. This is what I
nice
wanted.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're all on the sofa and we've got a nice cup of tea and everything looks nice. And then it starts crying and then my mum starts crying and then everybody's
But I
crying.
want you to play with me now.
Yeah,
and not
now
have to
play
be
with
the baby.
me. Yeah, exactly. And now play with me again. And what do you mean I've got it? It's like...
Well, all of this, it feels like you've really dived into your daughter's head because you've used it as inspiration to write and draw, illustrate your picture book. I love you just to say it. It's beautiful, Keira.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's so beautiful. The pictures, the illustrations are gorgeous.
Oh, thank
but
you.
also diving into that child's brain when their kingdom has been taken.
Yeah.
When life isn't the same. And, it's really...
Yeah, well, I feel like So the inspiration... So the book came around in a very strange way, and it massively came around because of the sleeplessness. Because in all of the trying to find ways where she might sleep through the night, and I don't know why, but we came up with she would go to sleep, and then I would draw her a picture. And so when she woke up, I'd make sure that the picture was beside her bed, so she'd see that I'd been thinking about her, and she knew that I was there, and she felt connected, but she didn't have to wake me up.
Okay.
It didn't work, and it was like 5 months of doing this, and because she kept saying, "But what if you've forgotten about me?" And I was like, "But I promise. Chance would be a fine thing. I haven't forgotten." So we went through this thing, and she started
like real separation anxiety.
Real
during
separation
the night.
anxiety. Real separation anxiety during the night. Again, super happy being put to bed, no problems at all. But during the night, coming and waking up and actually wanting to be in her own bed. Because again, I literally at this time, I didn't have any rules. I would have done anything. But wanted to be in her own room, but from midnight, every hour on the hour, Mum, coming down, go back up. And, she'd mostly go to sleep very quickly afterwards. But I was then awake, I'm then awake. Anyway, so we're doing this drawing and she's like, okay, some nights it would be a love heart and some nights, like, can there be a bird in it? Yeah, sure, there's a bird in it. Can there be a cat in it? Yeah, sure. Can I be in it? Yeah, sure, I'll draw you. Can I be on a swing? Yeah, sure. And there's, and it goes on for 5 months and there's no story, there's nothing. But one day she said, and she'd wanted her sister in it too, and there was this bird and her sister had been teething and, crying all day. And she said, "Can you draw a picture of the bird taking the baby away?" I'm like, sure, that's amazing.
What a great idea.
Yes, darling, I can do that. Anyway, so at the end of it, I had all of these images, but didn't really think much of it. And thought, I'll put them into a book for her. And she said, "I don't want them in a book because they're all just black and white." And, she was sleeping after 5 months. That's when she started sleeping through. I am not going to try and say to anyone it was because of the drawings.
Yeah.
I'd have no idea why at that point, but that's what we've been doing. That was our last attempt at this bedtime routine to try and make her sleep through. Anyway, I had all these drawings. They didn't have a story. I tried to then colour them in for her because she didn't like them, just black and white.
Quite the critic.
Very definitely, yeah, big critic. And then I thought, well, maybe I can try and see if there's a story somewhere and maybe I can put them in some order. And I put them up on the wall in my office and they sat there for about a year and a bit and I sort of played with the order of them and played them around. And then it was just this little bit of the bird taking the baby away. And then I think at some point I'd gone, I must show that the baby's okay. So I'd put her in a nest.
Yeah.
And at some other point, Edie had gone, "Oh, that looks fun. Can I go in the nest?" So I put them both in this nest and there was an image of that. And that's sort of how it came about. And then as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, well, the story is the girl wishes the baby away and then has to go on an adventure. And I think partly because I view her, my oldest child, as heroic. I think watching her struggle with things and watching how she comes through things, I view it as heroic. Yeah. I view those older children and also the mess. You don't know what you're doing with your oldest kid. You make all the mistakes. Yeah. And what they have to put up with their parents learning how to be parents. The youngest ones just sail through. You're like, oh yeah, I've got it. However different they are, know, you've just been through it, so you know. And those older ones are really putting up with a lot.
There's a lot of pressure. My dad said to me once, when it came to Buzz, you've got to remember that he is still a child.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they have so much responsibility
Yes.
put on them.
Yeah.
And, the whole of you've got to share, you've got to
Yeah.
almost sort of make
And
life
can you help
easier.
me with this? And can
Yeah,
you bring
yeah,
me that?
yeah.
And yes, actually, I need, and you're treating them 100%. Also, they're so much bigger
Yeah.
than the baby.
Yeah.
So, and I even think, she was 4 when Delilah was born. I didn't ask Delilah to go and, look after your sister for a second. Or you wouldn't dream of doing that to a 4-year-old. And yet those older ones.
I think it's only when you realise, when you see the younger ones at the age that the older ones were when they arrived, that you kind of go,
I shouldn't. Maybe So what she did, so she was 4, 5 during the lockdown, and the Delilah was like 6 months or something, and there was an amazing moment. And so the book that I originally did for her is not the book that this is, right?
Yeah.
I kept, there was a private, it was this her thing. So but there was an amazing time. She turned around to me and she went, "Mother, I am not childcare, I'm 5." And it was, I just started, I was like, "Look after the baby," It was the most amazing. Oh, yeah. And she clearly heard me on the phone. People are asking me to do work. And I'm like, "I've got no childcare. I've got no childcare." So she's clearly picked this up. "I am not mother. I am not childcare. I'm 5. Good point.
I'll make other arrangements. It's
Yeah,
fine.
sorry about that. No, I'm not doing that job. Sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's hard as well, isn't it, with the sleep deprivation or the sleep anxiety or the separation anxiety that your daughter experienced. We all know how difficult it is when thoughts come in the night. So you can be a happy person in the daytime and go to bed well, but actually when you wake up in the night, it doesn't matter what the problems are.
No.
Your problems at night when you're awake
Are
just
bigger.
seem far bigger.
And the panic as well, the panic of it being dark.
Yeah.
But actually she really wanted, this is what I mean about the courage of her. She really wanted to do it. She wanted to be in that room. She wanted to, she was really trying. And I think that was what was sort of, again, like the heartbreak of those first kids who are, doing their best.
Absolutely.
Everyone's doing their best.
Everyone is. And it's a group effort when it comes to
Yeah.
everyone sleeping or everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's the main thing that parents talk about, really, isn't it? How's the sleep?
Yeah.
Did you get any sleep?
But not now. I say even when... No,
at
but I
this
mean
point,
even...
where we are, you mean?
Yeah, or when, your eldest was 5, they wouldn't have been asking you how she was
No,
sleeping.
do you know what? When they were 3, they weren't asking me, and I needed to talk about it because she wasn't, But again, the second one, like after 4 months, it wasn't even a discussion.
Yeah.
So...
And that's probably the part when parents actually really do need to talk about the fact that their kids aren't sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you just need to keep talking all the way through.
Yeah.
I think that's why you need your group of people around you who are going through the same thing at the same point.
Yeah.
Even though some of them are really annoying and it's all easy and it's all fine, you need to find the ones who are horrifically honest, and you can all just be like, blah, this is what's happening. Because it makes it better, right? It makes it better to know that you're not alone in your experience.
Absolutely.
And that there's a wealth of experience, and you can sit there and be like, I'm so lucky. Like, they are great. We are great. It is all great, but it's still, even though that's the case, this is still. So my God, for the people where they've got kids who've got problems or kind of got health issues or whatever, it's a whole other story. So I'm very aware that I'm talking about this from the point of view of somebody where it's all gone completely fine.
Look, my best mate, the first ever episode of this podcast, Emma Willis, I asked her to come on, and she said to me when I asked her, because I've always been quite open about how I'm finding family life, and I think because I write, I always had that bit of an outlet.
Yeah. And
Emma was like, how can I come on and talk about struggling when I have a nice house, I have an amazing supportive family, I've got a great husband who, we're very much in it together. Yes, I struggle, but I'm so...
How can I possibly
and I was
talk
like,
when
but
people
it's
are actually
that,
having
isn't
problems?
it? Because
Well,
actually,
that shuts everybody
we
up.
all struggle.
Yeah. And I think that's what's important to know. You're like, okay, if I'm struggling and I've got the husband and I've got the house and I could afford the childcare, or struggling is maybe the wrong word. Maybe it's just, again, this is going back to your look at the nice baby and aren't we all, the experience is so much bigger. It's bigger than struggling, right? It's bigger than, it's just so, your responsibility is so massive that of course you're going to find times where you're totally overwhelmed by it, because ultimately it's the most important thing in your world, right? Or it should be. It mostly is for most people. Like that's what it is. So of course you need to grapple with that. And I think if we all shut up and go, I mustn't speak at all because I do understand how lucky I am. But if I therefore shut up, then what good does that do for everyone? Because you can always find somebody that's in a worse position. So therefore, we're not allowed to talk about our experience at all.
Yeah.
And I think actually that's where motherhood, it seemed when I gave birth to my first child, that's sort of where it seemed to be. Like we were allowed to say nothing but, this is lovely. This is lovely. And look, and I'm content. And
Beautiful baby.
Beautiful baby, beautiful mother, beautiful baby. Jeans fit. Jeans don't fit. Jeans never fit again. That's just what it is.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
It's that taking on the biggest responsibility you're ever going to have whilst you're at your most depleted.
Yeah.
You're not at your strongest when...
And it was, do you remember, I still remember the first weekend where it was like, oh, I don't get a weekend.
Yeah. This never stops.
This never stops.
It's
Or the
relentless.
first holiday. You're like, but
same
we're on
shit
holiday.
place.
I've just taken us to a hot place with none of our things and nobody to help. What were we thinking?
I've just literally started going on holidays where I can sit by the pool with a cocktail and read a book.
No, yeah.
It's so different.
Or they suddenly play, or they're playing together, or they're playing with, and you're like, oh. But that, I mean, and I remember we went with some really close friends when Edie was 3 and they both just had their baby, and we all went to Spain, and it was their first, two couples, their first holiday without a baby. And so we experienced again there, we don't get a holiday firsthand. And you do look at them, or you hear people going, I've just had a baby, we're going to go to blah, 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 and it's going to be 40 degrees and that's going to be great. And you're like, have fun. That's going to be fun.
It does change everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Your mum's attitude of, you just make it work. How has the juggling been with the just make it work attitude?
Well, I think there is a reality to it. You do just make it work. It does look different for absolutely everybody. Yeah. And it's always a mess. Yeah. And I think this is what I've come to just accept, is that it's always messy. And we sort of, and again, I'm really lucky. So my mum and my husband, and we tend to work. So I'm about to go into this big period of working. So they're on it. And we've got jobs where we can kind of do it like that. And he works from home. So that's kind of, it sort of works well from that point of view. But it's always a mess.
Has it got slightly easier now the girls are older?
Definitely. And definitely just from being able to, if there's a problem, they can call me. Yeah. They don't have phones. But, they can.
There's a receptionist at school.
There's a reception at a school. Yeah. They get, people can get in touch and they can explain what's going on. And, I'm really lucky the next job I'm doing is in London. So I'm not disrupting their life. Their life is set. They're at school. They've got their friends. They've got the stuff. We've got our support network around us because we're at home.
Is that what you try and do as much as possible? They stay exactly where they are?
Well, for all of us, I've tried to get as much work as I can in London so that for this bit, I mean, at least I know it was mostly because post-COVID, it was like, my God, these children just need to be in a life that is regular, I felt for me, and I think for actors, that's very difficult because we move all over the world. So I've really tried to kind of keep it in London and been really fortunate that I could make that work.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you're getting it right?
No. Do you know, I did an interview just before the summer holidays, and she's a very nice journalist, but she asked me to mark myself out of 10. And I was
on motherhood?
On motherhood.
Wow.
On everything. I had lots of questions to mark myself out of 10. And I was clearly having one of those days. I was feeling pretty groovy. I was like,
that's always a dangerous place to be.
It's so dangerous. So it's been haunting me because I gave myself a 7 out of 10. I mean, I gave myself high marks for everything, but I gave myself a 7 out of 10 for motherhood. Let me tell you, this morning with book bags and screaming, and now we're post-summer holidays and everything was going, I was like, 3 out of 10, 2.5 maybe, if I ask my daughter 1, I don't know. Yeah, God,
It's the whole retract thing. Look, we all go through moments, I think, in motherhood where things happen, we don't react in the right way. We don't
in the
react
moment.
in a way that we're proud of.
No.
And you kind of wish that you could take things back.
Yeah.
You can't. You keep moving forward. It's
Keep
about
moving forward.
repairing.
I also think you can always say sorry.
Yes.
And it's so important as a parent to acknowledge when you're just wrong.
Yeah.
And actually it's been a really lovely bit with both my girls of being able to go, I'm really sorry about that. I was totally wrong. I got that totally wrong.
Yeah.
I love you. I am so sorry.
I don't feel like my parents, we just, not that we did what we were told, but there wasn't any, and this isn't a dig at my mum and dad at all. I think they were both working. They were both very busy. They were both, had different pressures. there was no reasoning. We had to do things because I said so. There was.
Yeah.
Whereas now, when my kids go, but I was only doing, and you're kind of like,
Yeah.
Because actually you have your own life that you want to live, and you have your own thing in your head.
And you're trying to move forward, and you're trying to do things. And actually, quite often, the behaviour when it is bad or when you've all blown up, it all actually makes sense why you've all responded or, in the way that you have. And actually a little bit of moment when you're all a bit calmer to kind of unpick it and go, sorry, what were you doing there? And what was I doing there? And if you have got it wrong, I think because you've got to teach them to say sorry as well. Yeah. It's got to be okay to make mistakes and then say sorry, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
So I think that's been a big learning curve for me.
My middle child, when we used to say sorry, which I actually completely disagree with now.
Yeah.
But whenever we used to say sorry, he used to go, Laurie, Bory.
Yeah.
We don't know, sorry.
Yeah.
Corey.
It's amazing how difficult it is to say, though, isn't it? My little one, again, we don't go, you have to say sorry, but sometimes I'm like, the other day she accidentally hurt us. She jumped on her or something, and it was a complete accident. I saw it was a complete accident. I was like, if you said sorry, then she'd know it was an accident. Yeah. She's like, I cannot do it. It's like, but you kind of are sorry because you actually didn't mean to do it. She's like, I can't say it. You do you. Cool.
What was that? I think that's great though, right? Like we all do things where we're just like,
not ready. I don't want to.
I'm not ready to say sorry.
I'm not ready to say sorry.
I know if I have an argument with Tom, I'm not ready to say sorry straight away.
When you do say sorry, it does feel quite good, doesn't it?
It does.
I was like, this is what I've noticed with my kids. I'm like, actually, it's much better if I get it wrong. And it takes, I'm a terribly proud creature that doesn't like to get things wrong.
Yeah.
But it's been an awful, to actually go, you know what, we're muddling through. We're all doing our best. We all love each other. I got that wrong. It takes the kind of air out of it all. And then actually I've noticed with them, then they're less cross with me.
Which is always nice.
Which is really helpful for family life. Yeah.
Keira, if you could write a letter on motherhood.
This is such a nice question.
Who would it be to and what would you say?
I don't know. Because wouldn't everyone say shut up?
What do you mean?
Well, who would you say it to? Because I suddenly thought about anyone writing me a letter. Like if my mum had written me a letter about motherhood, I would have just been like, shut up, I'm doing it my own way. Wouldn't you?
It's very true. It's very true.
But who would you write your letter to?
Well, so this question exists because I wrote a whole book. It was a collection of letters.
Yeah.
I wrote to the boys, I wrote to my boobs, I wrote to my mobile, I wrote to my mum, my dad, Tom, my past self.
I think past self is an interesting one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Good luck. That body's not coming back. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Did you feel a pressure with that? Because your body is talked, It's
talked about,
yeah.
Yes and no. I was very surprised that it didn't. I've always had a body where I had to do very little, and it was just one of those thin bodies. It came back, and it didn't, and it hasn't. And so I was surprised, but I was also like. There's more important things. I'll just buy a bigger size of jeans. I mean, I kept my clothes from thinking that I would be able to fit back
How long
into
did you keep them for?
Until after the second child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so until Delilah was about 1. And then I was like, my shoulders are broader.
But I always wonder,
everything.
what is having a baby and what is getting older?
Well, this is a very good question. No, I think a lot of it is. I think my rib cage and my shoulders.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I am
Why
just
shoulders. I understand rib cage.
Same. But I put on I've never been able to wear across my shoulders is bigger.
Really?
Now, is that just because I'm stronger because I'm lifting things? Maybe.
You're hench.
I'm hench. Buff. That's it. Actually, that's it.
Just claim it.
Do you know what? I will. It's just made me feel great. Amazing.
I love it when something needs to be done at home and, maybe Tom's busy or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm going to just do it. And the boys' reaction when they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Mum's just lifting stuff.
Yeah. But I'm like, you must be. I'm strong.
Yeah.
I've carried those children. Those children were well and truly lifted in every single which way. I'm actually quite worried because my 6-year-old is now, she's just getting that bit where she's a bit heavy. I'm
bit too much, yeah.
I think about working out again because that's gonna go in a minute, yeah.
It's all right, you're still buff. You're fine.
Thanks, cheers.
Okay, so letter is just saying good luck.
Good luck and say goodbye.
See you on the other side.
Yeah. See you on the other side. It's going to be fine. Yeah.
We end the podcast with you completing 3 sentences.
Okay.
The first one is being a mum means...
Everything.
Since having children,
God. Since having children, I really value sleep.
And I'm happy when?
My kids are happy.
Keira, thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight. I've absolutely, you've delivered.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I've delivered. I really hope I haven't said anything that's going to get me into trouble, and I probably have. But I'm glad I've delivered.
That's tomorrow's problem. Don't worry about
it. It's fine. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.